Greetings of the day, dear learners. I am Dr. Shaumili Mandal, an assistant professor of English at Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya, and I am back with my third lecture of my 10th module. My 10th module will deal with folk and modern society challenges and acceptance, and my third lecture will deal with lessons from North India. In my earlier two lectures, that is lecture 1 and lecture 2, I have given you a brief concept about how folklore, has its own challenges and acceptances. And in the second one, I have told about how folklore has influenced the Northeast India and the Eastern India. And here I am going to talk about how folklore has influenced North India and what are the challenges it faced and how it has been accepted in the modern society. So, first I will start with Jammu and Kashmir. Depending on how well they align with current political narratives, development objectives and ideals, aspects of folk culture are frequently either rejected or preserved during the process of creating a modern society. As part of the region's cultural identity, Kashmir's rich craftsmanship, including wood carving, paper mache, carpet weaving and pashmina weaving have been accepted and even supported. The Rof, Chakri and Ladisha, the examples of folk music, is still performed today and has been incorporated into contemporary media and musical compositions. Particularly during festivals and cultural events, traditional clothing such as fairans or the loose gowns used in winter are still worn. Education and scientific reasoning have led to the challenge or rejection of many folk beliefs involving spirits, omens and taboos. Once widespread, folk healing techniques have mostly been supplanted by contemporary medicine. For example, patriarchy among young people with high levels of education and the belief in supernatural causes of sickness has decreased. Patriarchy was frequently upheld by traditional gender roles ingrained in folk songs, tales and traditions, and in these days, especially by younger generations and female activists, these are being reinterpreted or ignored. For instance, many people now view folk sayings or weddings songs that exalt women's submissiveness as archaic or even disrespectful. So, I gave you the two aspects that some of the Kashmiri culture has been accepted in the modern society and the elements of patriarchy, supernatural belief and the songs with having women's submissiveness has been discarded. Another example I would like to give is the photo which I have attached here. It is the Kashmiri Wazwan, the cuisine of Kashmir we say. The Kashmiri cuisine which is served in weddings and was served previously in royal courts. The Kashmiri Wazwan is a menu of 36 dishes. You can imagine how much time it takes and how elaborate it is, right? The preparation of the Kashmiri Wazwan begins a night before of the main function. And it mostly consists of non-vegetarian food, but it also has its vegetarian, counterparts. And also the food is prepared in mass because it is done in weddings or royal courts and they have the essential Kashmiri flavor. So, this Wazwan is something, the part of folk culture, the Kashmiri folk culture which we have accepted into the modern society and the legacy is carried forward. If you go to any Kashmiri restaurant throughout India or throughout the world, you will have the quintessential Wazwan cuisine, the Wazwan menu we have. But the others which the society doesn't feel to be included has been ignored. Next, I come to the instances from Uttar Pradesh. While some aspects of folklore are accepted for their cultural and social significance, others are being disregarded or reinterpreted to conform to modern ideals like social justice, gender equality, secularism. We can see this mostly in the selective adoption and rejection in the setting of Uttar Pradesh, which also has a rich repository of folklore and includes oral tradition, songs, festivals, myths and rituals. So, the folk music styles such as Birha, Kajri, Chaiti, Rasiya and Nautanki are still performed extensively today. They have been integrated into the society to promote legacy and identity and are conserved and displayed via cultural festivals, travel activities and even Bollywood music. These formats foster communal cohesion, supports local talent and protects linguistic diversity. Folk tales about Veer Lorik, a valiant figure from eastern Uttar Pradesh, are being told today. They frequently emphasize justice, bravery and love. Local heroes and morals are preserved through their adaptation into children's books and regional plays. We also have the very famous chicken curry, which are more common in Lucknow and parts of Uttar Pradesh, and they still flourish and carry the folk elements. The NGOs and the government assist craftspeople in fusing traditional crafts with contemporary commerce and fashion. Here I have attached a photo of the glass work, which is very famous in Firozabad of Uttar Pradesh. You can see the women are making bangles. So, the photo which I have attached here is one of the glass factories in Firozabad, which is there in Uttar Pradesh. The women are employed in these glass factories to prepare bangles. As we know, bangles are in demand amongst women. And the women and the men, though they do not have very favorable conditions for work, because they are very much open to toxic chemicals while making bangles, the dyes and other broken pieces of bangle, but they have carried forward through generations and the glass factories of Firozabad are still flourishing. They produce the majority of glass bangles and also glass stuffs throughout India. The craft is known for its intricate designs, colorful patterns and exquisite craftsmanship. And they make a wide range of products, as I said, bangles, lamps, vases and decorative items. Also, women are employed for separating the defective piece of bangles from a heap of bangles, which make them more prone to be affected by the broken pieces, unlike men who do the hard work of melting the material for making glass. Next, I am going to talk about the instances from Haryana and Punjab. In Haryana and Punjab, the two states, folklore has been an essential vehicle of cultural transmission, identity and social cohesion. As these states modernize economically, socially and politically, not all aspects of their rich folk traditions align with contemporary values. Some are embraced and celebrated, while others are being questioned, reformed or rejected. Folk dances and music such as Haryana's Ragni, Sang and Fag and Punjab's Bhangra, Giddha and Tappe have gained widespread recognition and even celebration on a national and worldwide scale. These artistic disciplines are both important in the rural and urban environment as they promote communal bond, cultural identity and regional pride. In a similar vein, traditional holidays like the Lohri, Baisakhi, Teej are still celebrated with fervor, frequently with new meanings that transcend caste and gender boundaries. The local economy and fashion industry also maintain and promote crafts like woodworking and prominently the Mura weaving known as Fulkari. Nonetheless, folklore's regressive elements are being disregarded more and more. For example, the growth of Dalit and backward caste cultural statements is challenging caste-based exclusions in rituals and traditional myths that extol upper caste domination. Similarly, gender stereotypes seen in folk songs where women are frequently depicted as obedient spouses or a burden to their families are being challenged and reinterpreted to represent women's independence, education and empowerment. Education and health awareness efforts are also being used to combat harmful superstitious behavior such as witchcraft or purity rites associated with menstruation and widowhood. Furthermore, folklore that exalts honor killings or act of violence committed in the name of family pride is increasingly seen as being incompatible with contemporary legislation and human rights. Haryana and Punjab provide examples of how folklore may change with time, maintaining cultural diversity while removing obstacles to advancement and equality. Here I have attached a photo of the very famous Bhangra dance and how Bhangra has been commercialized. Previously, the dance was associated with the harvest and obviously the agricultural cycle, but now the Bhangra, very similar to other dance form, how other dance forms are treated actually, they are also being incorporated in Bollywood films and now they are being performed on stages for private parties, in weddings, taking the essence away from it because it was very synonymous, as I said, to harvest. The dance was a joy or a celebration of good harvest, but now it is being performed in any place, in any time of the year, and there is no sometimes context of the Bhangra performance, but still it is performed. So, we can say that the Bhangra has been globalized, commercialized and passed through generations, but it has lost its essence which it had earlier. Next, I am going to talk about the instances of Uttarakhand. The state of Uttarakhand's cultural identity is closely linked to its folklore. And as the area becomes more contemporary, some aspects of its rich traditions have been embraced, while others are being reinterpreted or disregarded. Folk music and dances such as Jhora, Cholia and Thadya, which commemorate social events, seasonal changes and regional tales are recognized components of folklore. These are presented as a representation of Uttarakhand's heritage and are frequently performed at festivals and cultural events. Local goddesses like Golu Devta and Nanda Devi are still worshipped, particularly because of their contribution to morality and communal harmony. Important festivals like the Nanda Devi Raj Jat Yatra draws tourists and spiritual seekers alike, promoting communal engagement and cultural pride. Here, I have attached a photo of the Nanda Devi Raj Jat Yatra, which happens after every 12 years. And as you can see in the photo, the followers are in lakhs. And what they do? They trek an area of Nanda Devi. They also give animal sacrifice and then they are in a celebratory phase. They are always carrying, as you can see, the idols of the Nanda Devi and people come in masses to celebrate this festival. Previously, it was only done by the people of Uttarakhand, but very similar to other festivals, they have been open to public now and they are coming throughout the world. The mass which you see, it's a combination of people throughout India and the world. However, In contemporary Uttarakhand, elements of folklore that support social exclusion and superstition are coming under increased scrutiny. This includes the historical exclusion of lower caste from full participation in religious rites and social practices due to caste-based prejudice. Legal changes and social awareness campaigns are being used to combat these behaviors. Particularly in rural regions, harmful beliefs in witchcraft, spirit possession and ceremonial healing are being abandoned in favor of modern healthcare and scientific knowledge. Additionally, messages of resiliency, rights and proactive problem solving are replacing the fatalistic views seen in some traditional myths. Uttarakhand is upholding its cultural legacy while conforming to contemporary principles of inclusivity, equality and reason through its selective adaptation. As I said, during this Jat Yatra which is there, people trek places and also they have animal sacrifices. Similarly, it is also seen, as a part of, you can say, penance, because they take long treks and the long treks takes time and physical energy. So, you can say it is their method of worshipping their gods. And as witchcraft, possession have been discarded from the folklore, but this part of the folklore has been opened to the world so that everybody knows about the festival and its significance. Next, I come to the instances from Himachal Pradesh. Folklore still plays a significant part in forming cultural identity in Himachal Pradesh. However, some of its components have been modified or selectively accepted to reflect the ideals of an inclusive modern society. Vibrant folk dances and music such as Nati, Chan and Lahuli songs that honor agricultural life, festivals and communal spirit are among the accepted elements. These are frequently performed at public gatherings and advertised through travel and cultural initiatives. Rural life still revolves around the Devta or the deity culture and is recognized for its contribution to cultural heritage and communal cohesion. Also, it includes the worship of regional deities like Harimba Devi and Jamlu Devta. In a very similar vein, celebrations and folk fairs such as Kullu Dashera, Minjar Mela and Lavi Fair are encouraged as venues for commerce, tourism and social interaction. Because of their ecological wisdom and spiritual ties to the environment, oral traditions, folk tales and beliefs rooted in nature such as respect for rivers and sacred groves are kept alive. On the other hand, elements of folklore that go against contemporary ideals are being disregarded or reinterpreted more frequently. This includes the caste-based exclusions from community gatherings and temple ceremonies, which are currently being contested in support of social equality. Stories that highlight women's involvement, education and leadership are displacing patriarchal themes in folk songs and traditions where women were frequently portrayed in submissive or passive positions. Once ingrained in regional folklore and therapeutic customs, superstitions like those involving witchcraft, possession or black magic are now being challenged through health education and awareness initiatives. Furthermore, messages of resilience and proactive action are replacing folklore. And particularly in light of climate change and disaster preparedness. Therefore, the changing folklore of Himachal Pradesh shows a careful balancing act between respecting tradition and promoting equality, reason and empowerment. Here I have attached a photo of the Kullu Dashera and it is a very prominent festival of this region. And as you can see in the photo, that people are flocking for the Dussehra. It is very similar to the Dussehra which is celebrated in other parts of North India. For example, we have Dussehra in Uttar Pradesh, we have Dussehra in Rajasthan, and it is also celebrated with much funfair. Wherein more than 4 to 5 lakh people visit this fair, that is the Kullu Dussehra, from all across the globe. And it is renowned as International Mega Dussehra Festival, and it is observed in the months of October in this area. Now, we come to the end of our third lecture of the 10th module. Here I have attempted to give you an idea about how some of the folk customs have been incorporated and how some of the folk customs or practices and elements have been disregarded. The good ones like the Vazwan culture and the Kullu Dussehra, the Nanda Devi Jat Yatra, the Bhangra, they have been taken into the mainstream society. They have been interpreted, they have been reinterpreted, they have been modified. On the other hand, the witchcraft, the possession, the shamanism, the healing techniques which were pagan actually has been disregarded, and they have been discarded as the authority, you can say, or the society has felt that they should not be promoted. On the other hand, the positive aspects should be promoted and made more significant. Thank you and see you in my other lectures.